Let's get ready to mortgage. He is the prince of programs, guru of guidelines, master of matrices. He puts the fun in funding. Please welcome Mark, Mr. Mortgage Eitel.
All right, guys, my name is Mark Eitel, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. And friends, settle into your favorite chair. If you're in the car, make sure your seatbelt is double buckled, because this is going to be a wild ride today. Man, oh man, I am charged up. I am highly caffeinated and super motivated to be with you today. Guys, man, we're going to deep dive some data. There was some super interesting data released this week, and it's got me fired up. So, guys, before we dive into all that, I just want to make mention that as questions pop up, comments pop up, please call or text 855-462-7292. That is the Anytime Hotline. 855-462-7292. Jen, my producer, is standing by, womanning the hotline, and she'll get your questions on the air. One more time, 855-462-7292, or head over to MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click that email icon, and you can shoot her your questions that way. But guys, the reason I'm so charged up, first, let me say thanks. We had a great response to last week's show. I talked to several people this week. That was exciting. So I appreciate all the feedback. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let me dive right in. So the reason I'm so fired up is because people are walking around making huge life decisions based on information that they either don't understand or is presented in a way that is misleading. And I don't know if it's intentional or not, but we've been talking about the fact for well over 2 years now that supply and demand is the only thing that controls prices of anything, guys, of anything. Of the bottle of water that you buy at the concert all the way to tulip bulbs and real estate. It's always going to be supply and demand. The cost of money is irrelevant. The cost of money will slow demand, but if there's still less supply than demand, prices are going to go up. And I want to talk about that, right? Because median home value is the number that everybody hears on the news, right? 90% of people don't even know what that means. What is median? Well, guys, median is the middle number of any data set. So to make this super simple, because I'm a simple guy, I'm a Florida hillbilly. I've got to see things visually for it to make sense. So I'm going to ask you to either visualize this or actually put 5 coins on a table in front of you. Put 2 pennies, 1 nickel, and 2 dimes in that order from left to right. So you've got penny, nickel, dime. You've got 5 coins of varying value on the table in front of you. That's a data set. The one in the middle is 5. There's a nickel in the middle. So the median value of that group of coins is 5 cents. And that's the number that gets thrown around on the news, right? 5 cents. And it doesn't matter. They don't even break it down by market. It's all of the coins in the entire country. The data set is a nickel is the median value. Well, guys, that's great if there's 5 coins in every reporting period. But what if there are only 3 coins, right? Everybody's heard the market is slowing down. Take those 2 dimes and slide them off to the side. Now you've got 3 coins in front of you. And this is super relatable to the market right now, because the mid and lower priced homes are still flying off the shelf. The higher priced homes are taking a little bit longer to sell. So out of those 3 coins, you've got penny, nickel. Now suddenly median value is a penny. Now, guys, on the surface, you think, oh my God, home values have, or in this case, coin values have gone from 5 cents to 1 cent. This has got to be the time to buy. And then you go out there and realize that nickel is costing more than that it did last year. And that's where I want to start this, guys. I want to start with understanding the data, because median can go down while individual home prices go up. Now, CNBC just released, and if you need any help understanding that or want a deeper conversation, guys, my phone is always open. I love talking about the data, but I hope that made it clear. Median is just simply the one in the middle, and it doesn't matter. They don't take median of all the 2 bedrooms, median of all the condos, median of all the country club neighborhoods. It's all of them lumped into one. So if lower price activity increases, median's going to go down. If higher price activity increases, median's going to go up, regardless of appreciated value. And that's where I'm going with this. And that is why I am so fired up, because people are making huge decisions, not understanding the data. I talked to a client this week who was ready to buy last year and was convinced home prices and interest rates were going to come down. And guys, interest rates are where they were last year. We've jumped over 7 a couple times. They're here for a while. The Fed has said he doesn't see inflation getting close to the target until 2025, has no intent of cutting until then, and there's likely more rate increases. And I don't care what the dancing person on TikTok says or your cousin Benny at the barbecue. There was earning reports released this week that missed to the upside, meaning companies made more money, which means people are spending more money, which means the economy is still overheated. So all of that indicates these rates are going to be around for a while. But here's where I'm going with this. I talked to this gentleman this week. He's in Florida. Well, guys, before I get to that, CNBC released the top 10 housing markets by state by appreciation. And in reverse order, they're Alabama, Wisconsin, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Georgia, North Carolina, Maine, South Carolina, and in the number one place, again, is Florida. And that's where this gentleman is. Well, guys, the appreciation in those 10 states ranged on the high end of over 15% year over year, and on the low end over 8%. Now, don't forget, last year, everybody was saying the market's crashing, volume slowing, medians falling. Guys, if you were going to buy a $400,000 house last year in Florida, it's going to cost you $460,000 this year based on the appreciation in this report. And that's why I'm so brokenhearted for this guy. He had an opportunity to buy that property at $400,000 with an interest rate in the low 6s, and now it's $460,000 and the interest rate's closer to 7. He can't pull the trigger on it. Not to mention, he paid another year's worth of rent, and he cost himself $60,000 in appreciation that he could have banked for the future. Guys, I am not blindly optimistic about real estate. I don't think it always makes sense, and it certainly doesn't make sense for everybody. But what I'm super, super passionate about is understanding the data that we need to understand to make the decisions that are in front of us. And if you don't understand the data, guys, I am always open for a conversation. I talked about it last week or the week before. There are strategies where you can lower your total monthly expenses, even in these interest rates. But guys, I don't want to beat that over the head. I just wanted to get that off my chest because people are super confused. They see those reports and they go out there and start home shopping, and they're suddenly sticker price shocked because it's not lining up. And the problem is we're putting the wrong data in the GPS, and then we're showing up in the wrong place and wondering why we're lost. So guys, thank you for letting me have that little rant. You know, it's out of love. I always enjoy sharing the data with you. So questions or comments, shoot them my way. I look forward to diving into this week. We've got a great show lined up for you. We are going to answer all your questions. Just call or text 855-462-7292. But you hear the music, you know what that means. That's my cue. We'll be back in a few. Sit tight. On the other side of this very short break, we'll be back with the Mr. Mortgage Show.
Tired of realtor commissions gobbling up your hard-earned equity? Say hello to FSBOzilla, the commission killer. FSBOzilla is your free, no-obligation resource for selling your home by owner. Yes, you heard it right. Free. No gimmicks, no catches, just everything you need for a successful for-sale-by-owner process from start to finish. Check out FSBOzilla.com. You'll never have to show your home to a time waster, tire kicker, or unqualified buyer. And say goodbye to those pushy realtors trying to snatch your listing. No more untimely calls, no more uninvited strangers. Ever wonder who they're letting into your house? Grab your free copy of the book, FSBOzilla, the Commission Killer, today. Keep your equity where it belongs, in your pocket. Sell it yourself, save thousands. Visit FSBOzilla.com. FSBOzilla, the Commission Killer. That's FSBOzilla.com.
So you think interest rates have gotten too high to refi? Well, not so fast. There are several reasons people refinance. Sure, lowering your interest rate is one, but there's debt consolidation, home improvement, unexpected medical expenses, pulling out some equity to go buy an investment property. Heck, I even know of one guy who refinanced his house so he could buy his mistress a condo. But let's jump back to debt consolidation for a minute. I'm working with a client right now. His name is Ben. He's going to refinance his house, pay off a host of credit cards, and 2 truck payments. And yes, his mortgage interest rate is going to go up, but his monthly expenses are going to go down significantly. And that monthly savings is going to get he and his family back on track. Guys, if you've got questions, check us out at mrmortgageradio.com. That's mrmortgageradio.com. My name is Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005. I host the Mr. Mortgage Show, and we are always here and happy to help. Check us out at mrmortgageradio.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel, and you are listening to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Hey, friends, if you have questions or comments, shoot them over to 855-462-7292. You can call or text that number, 855-462-7292. That is the Anytime hotline, and Jen is womanning the hotline. She will get your questions on the air, and if you prefer to do it via email, just visit mrmortgageradio.com. That's mrmortgageradio.com. Click that email icon at the bottom of the page, and you can shoot her your questions that way. She'll read them on the air for you. Jen was laughing at me. She said I had a big vein bulging out of my forehead in that opening monologue. Guys, thank you for letting me rant. I hope I didn't come across as preachy. My heart just breaks for that gentleman and his family. His fiance has 2 daughters, so the 4 of them, I know making that decision last year would have been a huge improvement in their financial circumstances just one quick year later. But the data that he was looking at had him convinced both prices and interest rates were going to come down. And we just talked about it, guys. It's not going to happen until we're oversupplied, and there's just no indication that we're going to be oversupplied. Not anytime soon. Guys, in the National Association of Home Builders just released their data. Their permit applications are down 7% because while they're optimistic, they're cautiously optimistic that these increased interest rates, and they allude to inflation in the building material side of things, making them nervous about the impact of those 2 components on the profitability in the future. So they've pulled back 7%, which is another indication of pressure on supply. So watch supply and demand. Cost of money is irrelevant. We've talked about it many times. I'm hoping that coin visual worked for everybody on the definition of median, because that's got everybody wrapped around the axle. Median can go down while home values go up. So let's toss it over to Jen and get to some questions. What do you have, Jen?
Randy sent us this. What are the steps to applying for a reverse mortgage? I know there is some type of class that we need to take. Is this correct? Is there a fee for the class?
Hey, Randy, that's a great question. So the steps are left, right, and no, I'm kidding. Yeah, this is a great question, because typically how we work is we'll have a consultation, address any of your questions or concerns so that everybody's on board with what to expect. And then we cover some key information like the property value. We run the value report. We look at your age, and then there's calculations for projected life expectancy. With that information, the loan amount, if you will, is calculated, and then whatever has to be paid out of that loan amount, closing costs, existing mortgage, and then there's a schedule that shows you what the amount of equity is available to you and how you could draw it down. There's no obligation at this point. Actually, there's no obligation until you sign the documents at the very end. But that's step 1, is that telephone conversation. Then our team does the calculation of equity. The next step, if you want to move forward, is a counseling session. And you're absolutely right. It's required with every reverse mortgage. It's an independent, unrelated third-party service that does the counseling, and they're approved by the FHA. You're given a choice of several approved counselors. It's done over the phone. And yes, there's usually a fee of around $150. It can vary a little bit by the counselors, but you pay that directly to them. You go through your counseling session. They give you unbiased answers to all your questions and make sure you completely understand all the pros and cons. Once that's completed, you're given a certificate. That certificate is recorded as part of your application to show that you've been through that. Then the formal application process starts and you're off and running. And it acts like any other mortgage from a timeline standpoint. Maybe give it an extra week or two, but we're seeing them close typically right now in about 30 days. But if you plan 45 for the entire process, you're probably in good shape. So great question, though. I appreciate that. If you need more info, please reach out or hit MrMortgageRadio.com and click that more about reverse link. But hey, Randy, thanks for that question. Jen, go ahead with another question.
Beth sent us an email. I got the FSBOzilla book. It's great. We're doing a few repairs and we'll be ready by the end of the month. We're nervous and excited. How do you recommend we handle the showings? I don't want a lockbox on my house.
FSBOzilla. We had such fun with that, putting that book and that website together. And what a great response. So thank you for that. If anybody's curious what we're talking about, if you're thinking of going it alone and selling without an agent, we published a book, a for sale by owner book, FSBOzilla, like Godzilla, FSBOzilla.com. But the suggestion that we have, and if you're going to work with us through the process, and that, guys, that's all on the website too. It explains it all. There's no cost to use the program. My suggestion always is to group all of the pre-approved buyers, and I wouldn't do Wednesdays at 7 or Thursdays at 9 a.m. I would treat it like an open house, and it would be an unadvertised open house if you don't want strangers coming in. And I would schedule all of the pre-approved buyers from, say, 11 a.m. until noon on a Saturday. That way you can go about your life. You can have, 4 people, 6 people, who knows? That'll dictate the window of time. But treat it like an open house. Let them see it during that window of time. But I wouldn't want to go the lockbox route either. And as a buy owner, I don't think it's necessary. So I hope that helps. But I like that idea. I like to treat it like a private open house with a tight window of time. And you want to control this, guys. You want to control it. Treating it like an open house will make your life during the showing component of the transaction much, much more manageable because I couldn't imagine trying to be available at everybody's whim. I just wouldn't do it. You're in control. We talked about it earlier. It's supply and demand, and you've got the bait. You've got the golden ticket. You've got the house that people need. So I think, to be fair to everybody, that might be the smoothest way to do it. So, but I'm open to a conversation if you want to dive deeper on that. So, but guys, you hear the music, you know what that means. That's my cue. We'll be back in a few. Sit tight on the other side of this very short break. We'll be back with more of the Mr. Mortgage Show. Hey, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show, and I'm going to interrupt this commercial break to ask you for a favor. If you know any friends, family, coworkers, or the guy in front of you at the grocery line who's talking or thinking about buying or selling or refinancing real estate, I'm hoping I can count on you to help me spread the word, introduce them to me, to the team. You can do that by simply sharing MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Guys, it's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005. Now, back to the commercials.
Here's another 5-star review.
We started our loan with a different company. They said we were approved, but at the last minute they told us there was a problem. I still don't know what went wrong, but thankfully our real estate agent told us about Mark. I was pretty stressed, but it's the perfect house, so we gave Mark a shot. He got it done. I'm not sure what was different, but I don't really care. We even got a better interest rate and with less money out of pocket than the first guy quoted us. It was a great surprise. Yes, I'm happy to recommend Mark and his Mr. Mortgage team.
Have you recently gotten a mortgage approval and now you're wondering, how do you know if it's a good deal? I mean, the wrong decision can cost tens of thousands of dollars in fees and interest rate. Is any of this negotiable? Is this a good rate? Guys, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show, and we are happy at no cost or obligation to you to take a look at that fee sheet for you. We'll go line by line through it, and one of three things will happen. One, we may congratulate you on getting an awesome deal, and then you can exhale and move forward knowing you did great. Or two, we may be able to point out some places in that fee sheet that you can go back and renegotiate a better deal with your current lender. Or three, and guys, this one's my favorite, we may be able to offer you even a better deal, saving you in fees or interest rate or both. Guys, there's no obligation. Just go to MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Click on that fee sheet review icon and we'll do the rest. It's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005.
As a realtor, I have a bunch of mortgage brokers to choose from, but I prefer to work with Mark and his Mr. Mortgage team. In this crazy market, there is no room for error, especially on the mortgage side. Mark's team moves fast, keeps everybody in the loop, and makes things happen. They always get my clients a great deal and take the time to walk them through every step of the process. When you're considering a lender, I encourage you to talk to Mark Eitel and the Mr. Mortgage team.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel. You are tuned into the Mr. Mortgage Show. And friends, if you have questions or comments, just call or text 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292, affectionately known as the Anytime Hotline. Hey guys, we call it that because when we're not in the studio doing the show, that forwards to my office. So we're available at that number just about any time, hence the name Anytime Hotline. But anyway, Jen is womanning the hotline and she will get your questions on the air. Or as always, you can head over to MrMortgageRadio.com. MrMortgageRadio.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, click the email icon, and you can submit your question that way. And guys, just for reference, all of the things that we talk about on the show, all of the ancillary services and some of the data that we mention, you can find all of it at that website, MrMortgageRadio.com. But listen, without further ado, I couldn't resist. Without further ado, no, that's not right either. Guys, without further hesitation, but guys, let's keep your questions rolling. Let's toss it over to Jen and see if we can't get through some because I know we've got... Okay, go ahead, Jen.
Kenneth is asking, thanks for asking my question. We're new to this, but we have 2 rental properties. Are we better to cash out the equity with a refinance before we sell to reduce our capital gains tax?
Hey, Kenneth, you, my friend, are thinking, right? You're trying to figure that out, trying to avoid the gains. Sadly, that's not going to work. Although you hear me say all the time, and this might be where the confusion stems from, that extracted equity is not treated as income from an income tax standpoint, right? Because you can do a cash out refi and pull a couple $100,000 of equity out, pay off a bunch of debt, and you're not taxed on that couple $100,000 as equity because it's not debt. However, the only way to avoid that is if it's gains on your primary residence and you've met the time requirements of owning it as a primary residence. But you mentioned their investment property. So while a wonderfully thought out process, you're not going to avoid gains on that money. But great question. Hey, Jen, do you have another? Okay, go ahead.
Victor sent this. My brother and I recently inherited my father's house. My brother doesn't want the house, but I do. Is there an easy way to refinance into just my name?
Hey, another great question. Now, this one trips a lot of people up. The preferential mortgage programs are available for purchases, not refinances. So what I like to do is structure it as a purchase, right, with a gift of equity from the estate. So the estate can sell it to you. And let's say it's just the two of you, if I'm understanding this correctly. So you each own 50%. You can buy it from the estate with a 50% gift of equity, and then your mortgage will satisfy your brother. A lot of people will let the deed transfer into both your names, and then you're refinancing, cashing out, and paying your brother off and taking him off title, which will also work, but you're going to pay a higher interest rate for a cash out refinance. And there are some other guidelines that could make that challenging depending on the appraised value and the percentage of ownership. So those are the two most common ways. I would encourage a conversation off the air. I would love it to be me, but if it's not, dive a little bit deeper with somebody on that, because I would need to know a little bit more information. But a gift of equity with you buying it from the estate or letting it transfer to the two of you and you refinancing him off the transaction. So great question. Thank you for that. Go ahead, Jen.
Tanya is asking, we want to sell without an agent, but how will we write the contract? I mean, legally, can we write one ourselves? Thanks.
Hey.
I just requested the book and look forward to reading it.
I need to stay in my place for a minute. Sorry, Jen. Hey, Tanya, great question. Yes, so legally you can write the contract, and we allude to it in the book. Oftentimes you can get a title attorney or a title company. Most of the time you're going to need them to facilitate the transaction. Oftentimes there is an attorney on staff, or if you're dealing directly with a title attorney, they can assist in drafting the contract if you're not comfortable with it. You could download the blank forms that we talk about and fill them out. The two parties come to all of the general terms in agreements, and then have an attorney review it before you sign it. And I would start with the title company or title attorney, because they are conditioned to closing real estate transactions and oftentimes might be the more affordable route just for a quick contract review, especially if they're the one facilitating the transaction. But it's in the book. If you need more information, I would love to talk to you about it. Man, I can't believe the overwhelming response to that. We've talked to some people this week. We're helping them through this transaction by pre-approving all their buyers, which is our intent and our goal in doing this. So I'm excited. I'm excited for you. And if you need help with that, reach out. I'll be happy to walk you through it. Go ahead, Jen.
Andrea is asking, I was listening to your podcast and heard you share a story of a client who sold his house and took a larger mortgage and higher interest rate, but will still save money each month. I didn't really understand. Can you explain this?
Hey, Andrea, thank you for this question. Thanks for listening to the podcast. This one gets everybody super confused, because right now we are all married to our super low interest rates. And this was a family who needed to upsize, right? They had another child, and I don't remember if it was the husband or wife that wanted the home office to work from home. But my point is they needed a bigger house. Now, they had a ton of equity. They just didn't want to get rid of that super low interest rate. So we were talking, and the conversation started around interest rate buy down strategies. And, you know, those are out there every day. You can lower the interest rate using the buy down strategy. But we pulled their credit to approve them for this mortgage, and we saw a ton of credit card debt and car payments. So what this whole thing boiled down to was putting a little bit less down on the house and using that additional equity to pay off all of the consumer debt. So what I was talking about in that story was they paid everything off. So yes, their mortgage payment went up, but their monthly expenses went down. So they sold the house. They had a ton of equity in it. They put a nice down payment down on the bigger house. They paid off the credit cards and the car payment. So monthly, they are spending less money. They put a little bit of money in the bank. They cleared off all of their debt. Their credit score is going up because of that. And their monthly expenses are down. And they've got equity in the new house because they did put a decent down payment down. So that's the one that gets everybody wrapped around the axle, because we're so married to our 3% mortgage that we're willing to pay, 15% for a boat loan or 26% for a credit card, and we really aren't managing our debt costs very well. So that's what I was talking about with that one, was their overall number went down. Yes, their mortgage went up and their mortgage interest rate went up, but they've got the house that they really needed for their lifestyle. They moved into the home they wanted, and their cost of living, I guess is the better way to say it, went down. So I hope that helps. If anybody wants to crunch numbers on specific scenarios around that, my team and I are happy to dig into the math with you. So anyway, I appreciate you checking out the podcast, guys. And you can find the podcast at mrmortgageradio.com. Very top link. That's why we put it there. Guys, sit tight. We'll be right back after this very short break.
Tired of realtor commissions gobbling up your hard-earned equity? Say hello to Fizbozilla, the commission killer. FSBOzilla is your free, no-obligation resource for selling your home by owner. Yes, you heard it right. Free. No gimmicks, no catches, just everything you need for a successful for-sale-by-owner process from start to finish. Check out FSBOzilla.com. You'll never have to show your home to a time waster, tire kicker, or unqualified buyer. And say goodbye to those pushy realtors trying to snatch your listing. No more untimely calls, no more uninvited strangers. Ever wonder who they're letting into your house? Grab your free copy of the book, FSBOzilla, the Commission Killer, today. Keep your equity where it belongs, in your pocket. Sell it yourself, save thousands. Visit FSBOzilla.com. FSBOzilla, the Commission Killer. That's FSBOzilla.com.
Let me tell you a little story about a man named Jed. Well, this is not a story about Jed, but it is a story about Mary. Mary is an awesome single mom who's been raising her daughter in a one-bedroom, one-bath apartment for the last 11 years. That's right, one bedroom and one bath. Hey, they've made the best of it. They've got bunk beds in there and it's worked. But her daughter's now a teenager and it's becoming a challenge, especially sharing that bathroom. She decided to jump in and become a homeowner. We got her approved with an FHA loan. That's right, I said it, FHA. Hey, if your agent's telling you FHA and VA loans are not getting accepted, you are working with the wrong agent. Contact me and I'll get you in touch with a really great agent. Hey, but back to Mary. She jumped in and she is now a proud homeowner. They have their own bedrooms, but more importantly, their own baths. They couldn't be happier. Guys, if you'd like to learn more, check out MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. My name is Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005. Check us out at MrMortgageRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. Guys, if you have questions or comments, call or text 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292. That is the Anytime Hotline. Jen is womanning that hotline, and she will get your questions on the air. Or check out MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. Click the email icon and you can shoot her your questions via email. Guys, and every week we update the Facebook page, all the links. Everything is at MrMortgageRadio.com. So sometimes I feel like I live in that website, but if you need us during the week, that's always a great place to start. So MrMortgageRadio.com. But anyway, let's throw it over to Jen and keep the questions coming. What do you have, Jen?
Leah sent us this. You talked about a counseling session for a reverse mortgage a little earlier. How much additional time does it add to the process? And can we get a reverse mortgage if our credit isn't very good?
Hey, Leah, the counseling session takes only about an hour or two. It really comes down to how many questions you have. The purpose of the counseling session is to give you an unbiased answer to all your questions. The counselor has nothing to do with the transaction other than to give you, all of the correct answers and help you through the pros and cons. It takes a couple days to schedule it. It depends on the counselor. And if you're in a hurry, there are several counselors on the approved list for each area. So you could just go through the list and see who was the most available. If I'm understanding your question correctly, the session itself only adds a couple hours to the process and a couple days to schedule that. And then the other question regarding your credit, you absolutely can. When you go through the process of applying for a reverse mortgage, the credit component is less about score driven, and they're looking for ability and willingness to repay the debt. And sometimes willingness is, it's probably not the best definition because we've had clients who have gone through some medical issues and moved some in-home healthcare providers in, and they weren't focused on paying the bills. So during that time, they had some late payments. So their credit scores were down. So in those circumstances where the ability is there, but the willingness is not, and the ability oftentimes can be offset by the equity that's pulled out of the house from the reverse mortgage. Where I'm going with this is yes. And the answer is yes, because if your credit is in a circumstance where you don't meet those two requirements, there's a LISA that can be set up, LESA, and it's Life Expectancy Set Aside Account is what the acronym stands for. And the lender will actually extract some of the equity and stick it off to the side, for lack of a better word, in an escrow account so that the money to pay the taxes and the insurance are there. It's not they're not depending on you to do it, or who, I'm not speaking to you personally, but you know what I mean. They're not depending on the borrower who's not demonstrated the ability to manage their debt because of their credit challenges. That's taken care of with the LISA account. So oftentimes there are workarounds for even credit challenged scenarios with the reverse mortgage, even in pending foreclosure circumstances. So I would encourage you to have the conversation if it's something that you think will make a difference for you. We're having more and more conversations about reverse mortgages because, as we mentioned in the opening segment of the show, man, inflation does not appear to be easing significantly anytime soon, and we're still feeling the pinch of it, and all of the other ancillary costs of living continue to go up. So, and not to mention even maintenance expenses. I don't know if you've had a pressure cleaner out to your place lately, but man, they're charging twice as much as I remember in recent history. And I don't blame them. They've got to buy gas and groceries just like the rest of us. So great question. I hope that helps, and I encourage you to reach out if you need more info. There's a link on mrmortgageradio.com. More about reverse. Click that link. There's a little intro video, and you can request the booklet. So anyway, thank you for that, Leah. I hope that helps. Go ahead, Jen.
Richard sent us this one. I was with the same company in the same position for 15 years. I recently took a position with a different company, basically doing the same thing, but now I'm commission only. I'll make more money, but my bank says I need 2 years at the new job. Is this right? Thanks.
So it's most likely correct. But here's where people are maybe getting confused, because you can change jobs and stay in the same industry and in the same position or a similar position and not need 2 years work history at your current job because you've established, as you mentioned, 15 years in this field, in this position. Where the challenge is showing itself for your circumstance, you changed from a W-2 or a salaried position, right? W-2, you're getting paid by the hour or by the week, to a commissioned only position. And while you might be confident that you're going to earn more money, you've not established 2 years of work history as a commissioned employee. And that's most likely what's happening. The good news is there are programs that allow you to qualify with as little as 1 year work history. So I don't know how recent the move was, but the wait does not necessarily need to be 2 years. But that's, in this circumstance, I believe that's what they're speaking about. So I hope that helps. Hey, Jen, toss me another question.
Lance sent us this. If we move from Texas to Florida, can we keep the Texas house, rent it out, and buy the Florida house as our primary? I think I remember a 2-year rule for primary homes, but we've only had this house for 17 months.
Hey, Lance, that's a great question, my man. The 2-year rule applies to capital gains on a primary residence. So if you're not going to sell the property, you're going to push the gains down the road anyway. So the only benefit to the 2-year rule around a primary is the fact that if you've lived in the property as your primary residence for 2 of the last 5 years, then when you sell the property, you can forego up to $500,000 in capital gains as a married couple, $250,000 as an individual. As far as the 2-year rule having anything to do with your ability to move and buy in Florida as a primary, there's no such rule. You can move and buy the Florida property, turn the Texas property into a rental, and you're going to have gains to deal with when you sell the rental property later. But great question, my man. I hope that helps. I know that 2 of the last 5 year thing gets people a little bit wrapped around the axle. So I appreciate that question. Hey, Jen, do we have time for another question?
Ramona is asking, my bank says I don't qualify for a HELOC because of my debt ratios. Can you explain how this works and let me know if I have any options?
Hey, Ramona. Yes, I am so glad you brought this up. And guys, This one goes out there for everybody who's considering a HELOC to pay off debt and you get denied, just like Ramona mentioned. When you're underwritten for a home equity line of credit, it's treated as new debt, right? So they're adding that potential payment to all your debt. Now, a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, I'm going to pay off all this other stuff, so I'm replacing debt with the home equity line of credit. That's not how the underwriter on a home equity line of credit views it. So the cool thing is, in this circumstance, you can do a rec refinance. We talk about it all the time. That's a debt consolidation loan. And we can take all of the debts that you intend on paying off out of your debt to income ratio now and pay them off for you at closing. That's the caveat. If they need to come out for you to qualify, they need to be paid at closing. You don't have to close the credit card counts out if you intend to pay them off at closing, but they do have to be paid off to be excluded from your debt to income ratio. So we do it all the time. Let's say you've got a car payment and 3 credit cards that you want to pay off with these proceeds. We can take those 4 payments out of your debt to income ratio right now today, get you approved, and then when the title company disperses funds, they'll send 1 check to your current mortgage company to pay off your mortgage, 1 check to credit card A, 1 to credit card B, 1 to credit card C, and 1 to the car payment, and the rest will go to you. That way, that comes out of your debt to income ratio right now. And we're doing it all the time for people who need to get out from under the pressure of those additional consumer debts. So brilliant question. I'm super glad that you brought that up because we don't talk about that enough. We're seeing an uptick in interest in that strategy. So yes, we can use the rec refi and pull that DTI number down by excluding those debts from your calculation. So brilliant question. Oh boy, you hear the music? You know what that means? That's my cue. We'll be back in a few short minutes. Sit tight on the other side of this very short break. We'll be back with more of the Mr. Mortgage Show. Hey, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show, and I'm going to interrupt this commercial break to ask you for a favor. If you know any friends, family, coworkers, or the guy in front of you at the grocery line who's talking or thinking about buying or selling or refinancing real estate, I'm hoping I can count on you to help me spread the word, introduce them to me, to the team. You can do that by simply sharing MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Guys, it's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005. Now, back to the commercials.
Here's another 5-star review.
We started our loan with a different company. They said we were approved, but at the last minute they told us there was a problem. I still don't know what went wrong, but thankfully our real estate agent told us about Mark. I was pretty stressed, but it's the perfect house, so we gave Mark a shot. He got it done. I'm not sure what was different, but I don't really care. We even got a better interest rate and with less money out of pocket than the first guy quoted us. It was a great surprise. Yes, I'm happy to recommend Mark and his Mr. Mortgage team.
Tired of realtor commissions gobbling up your hard-earned equity? Say hello to FSBOzilla, the commission killer. FSBOzilla is your free, no-obligation resource for selling your home by owner. Yes, you heard it right. Free. No gimmicks, no catches, just everything you need for a successful for-sale-by-owner process from start to finish. Check out FSBOzilla.com. You'll never have to show your home to a time waster, tire kicker, or unqualified buyer. And say goodbye to those pushy realtors trying to snatch your listing. No more untimely calls, no more uninvited strangers. Ever wonder who they're letting into your house? Grab your free copy of the book, FSBOzilla, the Commission Killer, today. Keep your equity where it belongs, in your pocket. Sell it yourself, save thousands. Visit FSBOzilla.com. FSBOzilla, the Commission Killer. That's FSBOzilla.com.
Welcome back to the Mr. Mortgage Show. Call us now at 855-462-7292.
All right, we are back. My name is Mark Eitel, and this is the Mr. Mortgage Show. Guys, keep your questions coming. Man, we've had some amazing questions so far today. 855-462-7292. That's 855-462-7292. That's the Anytime Hotline. You can call or text that number, 855-462-7292. Jen is standing by. Well, she's not standing by. She's rarely standing by. That lady works her butt off back there, but she is womaning the hotline, and she'll get your questions on the air. As always, if your preference is email, just head over to mrmortgageradio.com. That's mrmortgageradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click that email icon, and you can shoot her your questions that way. But speaking of Jen and your questions, I want to get to them all, so let's keep them rolling. Go ahead, Jen.
Caesar sent us this. I heard you talking about a mortgage quote review. How does that work? We have a quote, but it seems high. Is this good for Pennsylvania?
Hey, Caesar, absolutely good for Pennsylvania, good for anywhere in the country. Guys, I don't say it enough. If you can hear my voice, we could be your choice of mortgage company. Everywhere the show is, my team is. So we are doing our very best to take care of everyone that we can. So, Caesar, how it works, go to mrmortgageradio.com and click on Fee Sheet Review. That will spell out the steps. It's super easy. You email over your fee sheet, we go through it, and we do one of three things, right? One, we say, hey man, this is a fantastic deal. Relax, you did great. Number two is we could point out some places that you can renegotiate with your current lender. Because I get it, you already have an approval. And if we can point out a couple of places that you might save some money, you can go back to them. And then this is my favorite one. We might be able to beat the rate and the fees or both. And we've done that a few times this week. We can't beat them all, but our pricing is pretty aggressive, and we were able to give some competitive quotes that saved a lot of money. So super excited to offer that to any of our listeners. Just go to mrmortgageradio.com, click on Fee Sheet Review. And thank you, Caesar, for bringing that up, because I don't mention that enough. And I was probably talking about it on the podcast. So great question. Hey, Jen, let's keep them rolling.
Patrick sent us this email. I'm very interested in the FSBOzilla program. I've been to the website, read through the book, and it sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? There's always a catch.
Right? There's always a catch, Patrick. Hey, listen, we did our very, very best not to put any catches in place. There's no gotchas, guys. Here's the deal. You're going through this process, Patrick, as a for sale by owner because you want to save as much money as possible in the transaction costs. And I get it. I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I don't know if you caught last week's show, but I told some of the stories, what inspired me on finding a way to help do-it-yourselfers, because sometimes I get in over my head thinking if I can see it on YouTube, I can do it. That's why we wrote the book. But here's the thing. I'm not Joan of Arc or Gandhi or Mother Teresa. I get a lot out of it. And here's how I get a lot out of it: by helping you. Listen, if we're your preferred lender and we field the buyer's calls and vet them and pre-approve them, take all of that headache and uncertainty off your shoulders. And we talked about it earlier in the show. Let's say you get 5 people interested in your property, and we confirm either by reviewing the approval they already have or getting them approved that they're able to buy your house. And you do that little 1-hour window on Saturday, right? You show the property. Well, you sell your house to one person. And I want to help you make that as easy as possible because I want to meet those people. I want to meet the other 4 families. I might even get to help the person who buys your house with their mortgage. But more importantly, I have met 4, 5, 6 families who at some point in the future might need our mortgage services. So I get paid to originate mortgages. Guys, we're more than a mortgage show. We're a national mortgage team. But that's why we did it. I'm happy to help any way we can to make your process smooth because I want to pre-qualify and pre-approve as many potential buyers for yours and any properties I can. And that's going to help me meet families who need our services. So in a nutshell, that's the catch. I'm putting logs on the fire and I'm helping you keep warm, but I'm also building up a database of people who might come to us in the future. So that's it. That's the whole catch, brother. There's nothing more to it. So, but I appreciate your kind words about the book. And if you have questions, reach out, schedule a call. I'll be happy to walk you through it. All right, Jen, let's go.
Anita is asking, can we use the landlord loan to buy a new construction home? We want to use it as an Airbnb and we'll stay there 2 weeks per year. Is this possible?
Hey, Anita, great question. Yes, it is possible. Here's a couple caveats. We need to make sure the association allows for rentals in the first year, because a lot of associations frown on renting a property. So you want to read through the association docs to make sure that rentals are allowable, and make sure it doesn't have any carve-outs for Airbnbs are not allowed, because some people are frowning on Airbnbs. But other than that, it is allowable. And they're going to use in the appraisal a rent comparison schedule, and they'll look at what properties, preferably in the neighborhood, but in the area, are renting as Airbnbs and as monthly rentals to determine what number can be used as rental income on that property. Because as you mentioned, it's new construction, so there's no rental history with it. So brilliant question. You get to make money while you have a 2-week vacation house for yourself. So it will work. If you need more info, reach out to us. Okay, Jen, what do you have?
Natalie sent us this one. My insurance is being canceled because of my old roof. I can't afford a new roof without refinancing, but I can't get approved for a refinance without any insurance. I'm stuck. Are there any loan programs for my situation?
Hey, Natalie. So listen, yeah, I get the frustration, and it frustrates me because there's a simple process to this. And guys, if you've listened to the show for any length of time, you may or may not know I was born and raised in a family of custom home builders. So there's a very little known strategy to the general public that builders know about called builder's risk insurance. So what you can do, and we do it all the time, if your lender doesn't know how this works or your insurance agent is confused, man, I would love to help you with this because we do it a lot. You get a builder's risk policy on the property, and then your insurance company will issue, and they can do both. They'll issue the homeowner's insurance policy, bind it today because they're protected by the builder's risk policy during the construction period. Now, usually that window is 6 months, so you'll have 6 months to close the transaction and get the new roof on the house. If you don't get the new roof on the house, the homeowner's insurance policy is going to cancel again. But that builder's risk layered insurance policy works, guys. We do it a lot, and I am happy to walk anybody through it who needs some help trying to understand that. I know that one confuses a lot of people, but it works. We use that strategy a lot, and we've closed transactions that are referred to us by agents whose in-house mortgage companies just don't understand that layering process. So, but wow, guys, you hear the music? Oh man, you know what that means? Jen is kicking me out of the studio. We've wrapped up another week of the Mr. Mortgage Show. Where does time go? Guys, I hope you have as much fun as I do. I love doing the show for you each week. If you need us during the week, check out MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. All our info's there, links to all the stuff that we talk about. Otherwise, if you don't need us, join us here next week, same time, same station. Guys, have an amazing week. We'll see you next time. Hey, it's Mark Eitel, host of the Mr. Mortgage Show, and I'm going to interrupt this commercial break to ask you for a favor. If you know any friends, family, coworkers, or the guy in front of you at the grocery line who's talking or thinking about buying or selling or refinancing real estate, I'm hoping I can count on you to help me spread the word, introduce them to me, to the team. You can do that by simply sharing MrMortgageRadio.com. That's MrMortgageRadio.com. Guys, it's Mark Eitel, NMLS 1929005. Now, back to the commercials.
Tired of realtor commissions gobbling up your hard-earned equity? Say hello to FSBOzilla, the commission killer. FSBOzilla is your free, no-obligation resource for selling your home by owner. Yes, you heard it right. Free. No gimmicks, no catches, just everything you need for a successful for-sale-by-owner process from start to finish. Check out FSBOzilla.com. You'll never have to show your home to a time waster, tire kicker, or unqualified buyer. And say goodbye to those pushy realtors trying to snatch your listing. No more untimely calls, no more uninvited strangers. Ever wonder who they're letting into your house? Grab your free copy of the book, FSBOzilla, the Commission Killer, today. Keep your equity where it belongs, in your pocket. Sell it yourself, save thousands. Visit FSBOzilla.com. FSBOzilla, the Commission Killer. That's FSBOzilla.com.
Here's another 5-star review.
We started our loan with a different company. They said we were approved, but at the last minute they told us there was a problem. I still don't know what went wrong, but thankfully our real estate agent told us about Mark. I was pretty stressed, but it's the perfect house, so we gave Mark a shot. He got it done. I'm not sure what was different, but I don't really care. We even got a better interest rate and with less money out of pocket than the first guy quoted us. It was a great surprise. Yes, I'm happy to recommend Mark and his Mr. Mortgage team.